This is my friend Vincent.
Where am I putting this?
And he, just like you, wants a brand new custom keyboard. Why? Because his gamer keyboard mysteriously got damaged. But unfortunately, I've also failed Vincent because he's my editor, and this whole entire time, I didn't know he was using a gamer keyboard. And that can't happen because I'm a keyboard YouTuber. So in order to redeem myself and make Vincent happy, I guess, I thought of the perfect plan. I'm going to give Vincent a keyboard, but I'm also a little bit evil, so there's just one catch. In order to get your free keyboard, you're gonna have to build it entirely by yourself. But I'm not entirely evil, so I'll be giving Vincent 3 lifelines with a little bit of a catch. And it's that if you use all of your lifelines, you're going home with this.
I can't crank 90s with that.
You'll be cranking depression. Now you're probably wondering, why am I putting Vincent through all of this pain? And don't worry, I did pay him. Well, it's to show you that building a keyboard can be really easy, really fun, as long as you don't make a few mistakes. So I'll be telling you where to start, giving you some amazing tips, and hopefully easing your mind a little bit, because this should be fun. I'll be telling you, and not him. Guys, hey, keep this between us, all right? Don't.
I can still hear you.
Wait, you're editing this right now. Now, because I know building or buying your first keyboard can get incredibly overwhelming, I'm gonna break it up into a couple simple parts for you, and I'll be using Vincent as a guinea pig. First, we're gonna start with how to pick out your very first keyboard. That's layout, preferences, switches maybe. Is it tactile, linear, clicky? Then all I'm gonna show you is how to build it all together. Or maybe you're gonna want a pre-built, and we'll talk about that as well. But make sure you do not forget the lube.
The lube?
The lube. But along the way, we'll also be learning some things that you shouldn't do and shouldn't buy, because there are a lot of beginner mistakes when it comes to custom keyboards, and a lot of copium as well. Now, you can't build a keyboard if you don't have one, so let's try out some keyboards. And for you at home, you're probably like, wait, but I don't have a personal Hipyo that I work for that I can just go over to his house and try his keyboards, and please, for legal reasons, do not show up to my house and try my keyboards. Let's go to the floor. Floor gang. Here on the floor, I've got a bunch of different keyboards. They range from clicky demons to very silent keyboards. And you at home are gonna have to determine which one fits your preferences the best. And this is the most important part of building a keyboard, because no matter what somebody else says, all that really matters is what you like.
I like this one.
Never mind. Now, keep in mind, I'm oversimplifying things here, but these are the basic types of keyboards. So here's a linear keyboard.
Ooh.
Here's a silent keyboard.
Wow.
Now, if you just stumbled upon custom keyboards, you might have heard a few of these buzzwords for keyboard sound. There's thok, which is deep. There's clack, a little bit brighter. And then there's the beaches of Normandy, also known as clicky. It's fine, clicky gang, you exist, you're valid kings. You're actually not that valid. I'm sorry, you're not that valid. Keep in mind, between tactile, linear, and clicky, they could all kind of thok and all kind of clack. This here is a bit of a thocky tactile.
This one's quite interesting.
Now, tactile switches, you feel a little bit of a bump when you press them down. Sometimes that bump is right at the top. Sometimes that bump is halfway after you press. It just gives you a little bit more feedback when you're typing. This is very, very preferential. And maybe all that you've tried before is a Cherry MX Brown, where it's not even a bump. It's kind of just a scratch from sand that got stuck in your switch. So a real tactile switch is a substantially different experience. So I recommend definitely just ordering a switch tester and trying some of them. I'll have that link down below. Now that you've tried linear, tactile, and clicky, what's your preference?
I like this one.
The linear. That's also my preference. Now, you might have narrowed down whether you want tactile, clicky, or linear, but which switch do you even get? Back in the day, we used to lube every switch by hand, but nowadays you can kind of get almost any quote-unquote factory lubed switch, and it's gonna be pretty darn good. Some of my favorites are any switch from HMX, Wuche Studios Marandi switches, and I'll have a bunch of options linked in the description for you to try. But figuring out your favorite switch is like half the fun of keyboards as a hobby, so don't just take my word for it. Now, we have an interesting dilemma, and that's layout. There's a ton of different layouts that you can use, from number pad to no F keys, maybe no arrow keys, but all that really matters is what you want and use in a keyboard. So which of these do you prefer?
I think I'm feeling this one or this one.
Hold that thought. I think I have a surprise for you later. Yeah, exactly. Hold. You're doing good. Now, for you at home, basically just look at this layout chart, figure out which one you like, and then search keyboards that match that. Now, Vincent might have my closet to go through to try keyboards, but you don't. So where do you even start when buying a keyboard? Well, there's a few things to keep an eye out for. Number one, you probably want it to be in stock if it's your first keyboard, although I'll be using a group buy keyboard later in this video. And second, you'll definitely want it to be hot swappable, meaning you can replace your switches without needing to solder. Then I suggest you just pick out features that are important to you. Do you care about Bluetooth or wireless modes? Do you care about faster latency for gaming? I do really like snake oil. If you have absolutely no idea where to start, then you're actually at the right place, because howdy hey, I'm Hipyo Tech, and I have made hundreds of stinking videos on keyboards, from pre-builts to budget to super fancy. Just find one that looks pretty and see if you think it'll fit. But here's the problem. You picked your keyboard, you've picked your switch style. What do you do now? Well, you build the stinking keyboard. Duh. Now, hopefully at home, you've bought your keyboard, be it pre-built or bare bones. Bare bones means you get a lot more options, and I recommend you look for hot swappable, meaning you won't have to do any kind of soldering or electronics or anything like that. For you, Vincent, I have a surprise. Remember how I told you you were building a keyboard?
Yeah.
This right here is the keyboard you're gonna build. It's from my friend, Barrett Creative, and it is
Holy
solid wood. Now, the keyboard Vincent's gonna be building is the BC75 from my friend Barrett Creative. This specific board is by no means a budget example, starting at $280, but it is also handmade out of walnut. This is also a group buy, like I talked about earlier, where you need to be patient because it's going to take up to 120 days to arrive. Generally, I'm pretty anti-group buys, but I'm also super biased here because this is my friend and he made it by hand. However, this is a great example of what I really love about the keyboard hobby, because it is somebody making something actually cool. What do you think?
Wait, but where are the keys?
Well, you're gonna build it, silly. Now, we have our keyboard picked out, but we're gonna have to do something very important. And you remember how earlier I mentioned lube?
No.
Lube. Remember how I said this is where it gets fun? Now, every good build starts with a good foundation, and that's where stabilizers come in. This is one of those things where if you get it wrong, then your whole keyboard will just feel way worse to use. Like your spacebar will be super rattly and your shift key will suck. So get out your notebook and pay close attention, okay? These are your stabilizers. What do you think you do with them?
I don't know.
Do you know what a stabilizer is?
It stabilizes things.
It's not stabilizing me. This was the point of the video where I realized things, might be a little bit harder than I anticipated. Stabilizers are what make your big keys not rattle. Where do you think you start with this?
Connect it to one of these things in the hole.
Which hole?
It's gotta be this hole, right?
Kind of.
I give up. Can I use my first lifeline, please?
I didn't think it would happen this fast. But yes, because this is actually one of the most confusing parts of building a keyboard. Now, to lube your stabilizers to make them sound and feel absolutely amazing, here's what you do. You get a little bit of lube on a brush, then you brush the inside housing of the stabilizers. Don't be afraid to coat the whole entire inside, because then you're gonna stick the stem inside with 2 holes facing the clip side. And every stabilizer is a little bit different, so I recommend you look up a stabilizer lubing tutorial after this video. And then you get a large glob of lube on your wire and insert it in. Then repeat for the whole entire set, depending on how many you need for your keyboard. I 1,000,000% recommend that you test that they go up and down before you install them to your keyboard, otherwise you will cry.
I try it.
It'd be really bad for you. It'd be like licking death. Don't eat it. And now, after showing Vincent how to do it, it was time to set him off on his own, like a proud bird parent. Okay, have fun. Have fun, lube the stabilizers. Bye.
Wait, don't leave me. He was my only friend.
1 hour later.
All right, how's it going?
I did it.
No way.
I'm the best.
You are the best. Okay. Well, actually, we'll see if they're good once you put them in the keyboard, because they could suck.
Oh.
But no, sorry, you're the best.
Yeah!
Now, this is mostly relevant if you have a bare bones keyboard, but some pre-built keyboards will have stabilizers that really do need to be taken apart and lubed. So it was time to take apart the keyboard, that way we could actually install them. Go ahead and give her an unscrew. Whoa! This is your top plate. This is your keyboard plate. And here's your PCB. Now, where do you think the stabilizers go in here?
These holes.
Nope.
This one?
Yeah! Stabilizers. Bada bing, bada boom. It's sadly not this easy though. You're gonna have to screw them in. Good luck. Easy peasy. We'll just do some Hipyo magic. Ooh. Cast a better magic spell. Lock in, lock in, lock in. Whoa! After your stabilizers are installed, it's time to install your switches. Now, hopefully, because of earlier in the video, you've already bought your switches and picked out a decent kind. And if this kind of thing does really interest you, then I recommend you look into Lubing switches because you will get a better experience if you do that. It just takes like 5 hours. Now, you've got your stabilizers installed, and I was doing a little bit of testing just off screen, just to kind of make sure that this was gonna work for you. I've got your switches. These are some mystery Kale linear switches that kind of fit the same exact vibe of the linear style switch that you liked. I say they're mystery because, I mean, look at my closet. Now, the only thing you really need to know when picking out your switches at home is, number one, is your board hot swappable? If yes, how many pins does it have? Now, this board, as you can see, has 2 extra little holes next to that center hole, meaning it supports 5-pin switches. If your board is hot swappable but doesn't have those 2 holes, then it only supports 3-pin switches. But essentially, if your keyboard has hot swappable sockets, then odds are you just want any switch with this style of stem. That'll get you most of the way there. If you have any questions or any concerns, then just join my Discord and ask for some help. Most of them are relatively helpful. Anyways, it's now time to put in your first switch. I put in these switches. You didn't get to see it. How do you think you put in a switch?
Like this.
Kind of, except you need to support your switches from the back. So whichever hot swap socket that you're putting a switch into, you want to put a finger on the hot swap socket, which is that black thing. Now, to be fair, I am helping Vincent right now, but that's because if you aren't really precise with this, you could potentially pop out one of these black sockets, which means you've effectively ruined your keyboard. Yay! You did it! First switch! Only 80 more.
Bruh.
But at this point, I began to wonder, was Vincent even enjoying this? So what do you think of building a keyboard so far?
It's pretty fun. You know, if you like Legos, I think you'd like this. It's just a couple extra steps.
It's like Legos with extra steps?
Yeah.
Would you say it's hard so far?
I think like anyone else, you're a little bit intimidating seeing all these random colors and opening it and all that, but it's not as bad as I thought.
Very positive review. Keyboards. It's not as bad as I thought. Now at this point, your keyboard is probably incredibly naked, which means you need keycaps, my favorite part of this whole process. There are a million different options for keycaps, different colors, designs, sizes, profiles, and this is another place where I recommend you just experiment with things that look cool to you. However, generally, when buying a keycap set, make sure that it has enough keys to fit your keyboard. If you don't know where to start at all, I recommend you buy like a full set of keycaps in cherry profile, meaning it's like 156 keys. And maybe leave a like if you want a keycap buying guide. Does it still feel like building Lego?
This part especially does.
1 hour later.
Yay!
You built a keyboard.
I did!
However, you're still not quite done.
How?
There's still just a few things you need to do, like foam.
Foam?
Foam! Because if you at home want to change how your keyboard sounds, maybe you want to make it quieter, more thocky, more dampened, you might want to use foams. These aren't something you have to do, so you could be done right now. However, I highly recommend you try, because then you never know what you like or don't like until you try. Now, what if you built your whole entire keyboard and you're kind of disappointed with how it sounds or feels? This is the fun of modding. That's how you get your keyboard to sound like heaven. There's a ton of different things you can do, from a tape mod to filling your keyboard with foam to dear God, don't put Play-Doh in there. And all of these little changes affect how your keyboard sounds and feels. It's a ton of fun, especially if you're a little bit insane. In this case, I want to do one of my favorite mods. Is automotive dampening foam, also known as kill mat. If your name is Matt, I'm sorry, we don't want to kill you. You're gonna cut this up into a little sheet and plop it in the bottom of your keyboard. Sounds easy enough?
Sure. Let's do this.
But I couldn't help but wonder what happened to Vincent's keyboard. All right, so Vincent, I wanted to talk to you about anger issues. So you seem like a very chill guy.
Yeah.
And I'd like to inquire as to what happened to your previous keyboard.
You see, people make me angry on the internet, and I can't contain myself all the time, you know? Being a chill guy like me takes a lot of courage and determination.
So you smashed your keyboard?
Essentially.
For you at home, you could use Killmat, or you could use a bunch of different kinds of foams. I really recommend you check out some of my other videos where I put incredibly weird objects in keyboards, like sand and Play-Doh and pillow foam. And why do I have so many problems? Okay, so theoretically, we've cut out the foam. We've got the foam in the board. This will add a little bit of dampening vibes. And we're just gonna screw it back together and we're done. So screw, I'm so proud of you.
Thanks.
Now, with how complex and overwhelming everything is in the world of keyboards, and how many new keyboards come out literally every month, there's no way I could cover absolutely everything. Like, I know Vincent is a gamer, and I didn't build a quote-unquote gamer keyboard here, and that's a huge rant for a different video. Maybe you want a keyboard with a numpad and should check out the last video that I released. Or maybe you love this wooden keyboard enough to join a group buy, then you should check out the link down below and support my friend. But I wonder if Vincent has some good advice.
You didn't need like any lifelines. I mean, to be fair, you were my editor. So, how was building your very first keyboard?
Honestly, pretty fun.
I didn't even pay him to say that, although I did pay him, so. What do you think of the keyboard though? Try it, try it, try it.
Wait, it sounds like heaven?
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 Heaven?